Hey everybody, welcome to the Takeover. I'm glad that you're able to join us today. Very special episode. I'm so excited about this. Today the guest is none other than my own dad, Wayne Johnson. He's the CEO of Accuform, and I'm excited about having him on as a regular guest. And we're going to just sit here and have a conversation about stuff that we would probably just talk about at lunch if we were out hanging out together. And we just excited to have you come along and join us for that conversation. So thanks for coming. Dad, thanks for coming on the show.
You're welcome. Glad to be here. It's pretty fun.
Awesome.
Good idea.
Thank you. So today, guys, with my dad on the show, this is the family episode. So sometimes we might talk about family business. Sometimes we'll just talk about things that are relevant to you guys as industrial entrepreneurs. And today we're going to be talking about a culture of customer service, or as we like to call it at Accuform, a yes we can culture. And so I'm really excited to talk about that and dive deep into that subject. And so why that's relevant to you guys, the world is changing so quickly. People expect an extremely high level of customer service no matter what you're doing in business today. And so it's extremely relevant for all of us to think about, how are we coming across to our customers? How are we handling mistakes? How are we delivering exceptional experience for them? Even if we're a manufacturer or a distributor or a wholesaler, this is an extremely important topic, and I'm excited to dive into it today. So let me just start. Dad, tell us about your own takeover. This show's called A Takeover, so maybe you could start by just telling us a little bit about your story and how you got to where you're at today.
Sure. So, I started with a family business right out of the gate. We were in 1976. We moved the business from Canada to Florida, and I had a role in sales. My job was to try and go out and drum up some business for the company. So I had kind of cut my teeth in front of the customer. So I learned that you never want to disappoint a customer early on, because you might be the salesperson that has to face that customer and deal with that. But so I worked my way through sales, and then in 1995, my mom and dad decided that they were going to retire, and that was kind of the beginning of the takeover for my brother and I. So the next generation was really going to move in and being able to impart some of our desires and ways into running the business. And unlike a lot of family businesses, my parents were phenomenal at handing over the reins, in that they literally just sort of called us into their office one day and said, hey, we're going to retire. We're going to move to North Carolina to the mountains, and you guys get to run the business, and as long as you send us a paycheck every week, we'll be fine and we won't bother you. And their kind of parting words as they left were, by the way, don't screw it up. And at first we were, bubbling with enthusiasm and excitement, but the reality of running a business then kind of set in, and we had to sort of set our own mark. But luckily, Ron and Veronica, Mom and Dad, had really laid a great foundation for us. And really the foundation of our business was laid back in the very beginning, and it was three simple words, and it was, yes, we can. And so that really made it a lot easier for a salesperson like me. So that when a customer called me and said, or I was in front of a customer and they said, hey, can you do this? I was equipped with the most powerful words you could ever have in sales, and that was, yes, we can. Mm-hmm. I didn't always know how we were going to do it, but I knew we could come back to the factory and somebody would figure out how to do it. So that's kind of my takeover.
So as much as I know that you would like to, as a good CEO, to take credit for the idea of yes, we can, that really started with your dad, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. My dad had a career in sales, and he knew that customer service and really creating happy customers was the key to running a successful business. I think the most important thing, though, that he taught me was that the key to having happy customers was having happy employees. And so we began to build a culture in the organization, even the very beginning, about making it a great place to work and having happy employees that were going to deal with those customers. So that was kind of the initial foundation.
Right. So the focus on customer service came from his experience being a customer facing um, salesperson,
Hmm.
and he just knew intuitively that that the focus needed to be on giving the customer an exceptional experience. Is that kind of the idea? Where did that come from? Do you even know why that was such a big focus in the early days?
Well, I think if you go back to the 1970s and really probably the 80s, there used to be a big belief in the theory of this triangle of customers value, right? So oftentimes they'd put price at the top, and then you would put quality, and then you would put service, right? So the three things. And the argument always was back then you could have any two that you wanted, but you couldn't have all three. So, in other words, you could have low price and high quality.
Right.
That might work together, or you could have high price and high service. But it was always hard to kind of get all three. And so he obviously wanted higher price, and he wanted great service, and he wanted great quality. But it was like, how was he going to struggle with that whole thing? Today, it's unequivocally you have to have all three.
Yeah.
Right? A business can't survive without the three things. And frankly, good customer service is what I kind of call a table stake. It's like you just kind of have to have it to be in business. But then there's great customer service that's like a step above, and that's where you really can differentiate yourself. And so there's a difference between good customer service and exceptional customer service.
So, we talked about in leadership discussions in the past, we've talked about the Nordstrom way or the Ritz Carlton experience, or some of these real famous service providers, right? In the service industry.
Yeah.
And obviously they do it better than anybody else. But as a manufacturer and as an industrial manufacturer, what role does customer service play in your business? And isn't it just enough to provide a good product and sell it at a good price?
I don't think so, especially in our business. In a business where half the business that we do is custom, you really have to be on top of your game with regards to customer service. And in fact, we don't even call it customer service, we call it the customer experience. So you look at that group, it's our customer experience group. Yeah, but the whole thing about the customer experience is that it's not just a team of 30 people over in our office over there that are answering the phones and answering emails. It's the entire organization of 300 plus employees. They all have the same culture of customer experience. And we hire for that, right? So we hire based on culture, and if they're a good cultural fit, and will they understand our customer experience requirements. So really it's kind of a benefit to us. Probably not everybody is going to have the capability of knowing that there's that entire production system behind them that can rise to the occasion when somebody says I need it. But we're blessed to have that opportunity, because everybody from the person working in the cafeteria to the person working in materials receiving or in shipping knows that if that order has to get out today, it's going to get out. And they all believe in satisfying the customer. So.
That's awesome. And we're also operating in a more competitive market than ever before, right? There are more competitors. The barrier to entry is a lot lower than it used to be. So there's a lot of competition in every product category, right?
Absolutely.
And so I was thinking, when it comes to being a manufacturer, it's not enough to just create a good product anymore, but now you're competing with other manufacturers, and it's like, who are the distributor or end user, who do they want to do business with? And that can really set you apart, can it?
Absolutely. So for us, we say that speed is the new currency. So a lot of what we are working on and focused on is built around speed of customer responses and that whole customer experience. So that comes from developing an app that allows people to get a custom product quote in less than 5 minutes, to having our entire team focused on response times of less than an hour on every situation. And that's part of the big customer experience. And the other thing I'll tell you about customer service today is that it's not enough to have generic customer service. We believe that you have to have personalized customer service, and that's even more present in our business, where we literally have every customer has a set of parameters that are personalized to them. They may want to always have their quotes look like this, or it's up to our team to know how to make their job easier for them. And I think once you start making it easier for your customer's customer to get the responses, then that's how you win.
I love that. It definitely throws a wrench into the process. I mean, I think so many companies are just trying to create repeatable processes, and make their business as regimented and repeatable as possible. And then what you're saying is, well, yeah, you need that, but you also need to be able to flex to what your customer wants.
Right.
And I think that's the next level of customer experience, right?
It is. It's kind of knowing what they're wanting before they ever call and being prepared to deliver that. So that's what we're headed towards, right? I don't think that we're the greatest yet at it, but that's what we continue to be focused on.
Well, that actually is a good segue, because we're going to talk about some goofs in the next segment. So why don't you guys hang right there? We're going to go to a quick break from our sponsors, and we'll be right back with some goofs in customer service right after this. We were made for this industry. We've been learning, listening, and adapting for over 15 years. But I feel like we've only just begun. From the beginning, our mission was to help industrial suppliers grow their business. Today, the world is spinning faster than ever before, and we refuse to slow down, because nothing less than the future is at stake. For many of our clients, we are the bridge between yesterday and tomorrow, helping them seize the moment today. They say tigers starve last. Are you hungry? Are you playing offense, attacking the market and driving change? Or are you retreating to the boardroom, trying to figure out how to survive? Everything we do is about building relationships and brands that stand the test of time. So yeah, we're crazy passionate about helping you transform your business. That's our legacy. What's yours?
We live in a fast-paced world, invested in so many things. Sometimes we miss the details. At work, when safety is on the line, we can't miss the details. Regulations and policies, standard operating procedures, safety guidelines. But when you move quickly to keep up with demand, even these can be overlooked. Or worse, ignored. Hundreds of words posting an infinite number of demands just feels like red tape. We need clarity. At Accuform, we manufacture products that clarify communication to employees, contractors, and visitors in the workplace. Safety is an important message that needs to stick. You want a culture of safety, everyone coming together, motivated to build an environment that reaches for better, safer, enthusiastic spaces. We know you want all members of your workforce to go home safely each and every night. Your signs, tags, and labels should clearly communicate safety hazards to protect your employees. We understand that the messages you post are for compliance or a reinforcement of training, and that they're there even when you aren't. We make products that inform, protect, and motivate the global workforce. Our products help you reinforce that culture of safety. Communication is mission critical to making the world a better, safer place, and we're doing our part.
Hey guys, welcome back. We're continuing our conversation with Dad here on the couch in the Takeover studio. So excited about what we're learning here about customer service. But as we mentioned before the break, we're also going to talk about some of the goofs that happen. And I think we can't really talk about customer service without really discussing the fact that we're human and that businesses are made up of human beings. We're not perfect. We don't always get the thing right all the time. We may send something out of the building that isn't accurate, or we may, not respond to a request the right way. So, I've learned a ton, honestly, in the last few years being over here at SpinStack, formerly SMS. And this is a service industry. I mean, we're talking about manufacturing and distribution and the importance of service in those areas. And how much more is it for me to focus on good customer service? Because we are providing services, not physical goods, but our time. And so I've learned a ton about that. I think some of the things I've learned, and we've already touched on them, was, number one, I was oftentimes too rigid because I wanted to create processes that were repeatable, things that I could just do over and over and over again. And what happens is you inadvertently make it hard to do business with you. Because it's like, okay, that's not my way. This is the way that I do it, and you have to conform to my way. And I think that can be very frustrating for the customer.
Right.
So that was one of the things I learned early on, and we've done a lot of things to make that better. And I think another thing was just not being as responsive as we could have been. I was joking around with my leadership team about this, but we are a digital marketing agency, and we have a lot of millennials, we have a lot of younger folks, and we like to text and we like email, and we don't pick up the phone as much as we should. And so that's been a big focus of this year. Is just, I know this sounds crazy to you guys who are a little bit older, but I mean, just picking up the phone and being super responsive. The customer emails us and says, hey, I'm having issues with something. Boom, pick up the phone. That's done wonders in a world where nobody does that anymore, right? Mm-hmm. So people are phone adverse. So just learning to communicate quicker and be more flexible. I think those are some of the most important things that I've learned. But what about you, Deb? What things have you learned in your journeys in customer service, and what areas maybe have we seen some goofs, and how have you responded to those?
So at Accuform we call a goof an oops. Like, oops, we messed up. It's an old term, legacy term that's just sort of stayed with the company. But here's kind of our thought process on oops. And we don't have a lot of them. As a manufacturer, our accuracy of shipment rating is 99.65%, which is a good number. It's not where it could obviously be. But we still have a few errors that get out in front of the customer. So here's kind of the process that happens. Number one, when a customer calls in, the customer experience person that receives that call or email has to own that call. They have to own the problem too, by the way. So we will never accept somebody saying, oh, the artist spelled it wrong, or the shipper put your stuff in the wrong box, or I can't believe they did that. That's not part of our culture. So number one, the person who gets it owns the mistake, or
no blame shifting.
Yeah, no blame shifting. And then so then immediately our response has always been to put through a rush order. So it's a top priority order that goes through our production system and gets the corrected product made. And then we actually send it out to shipping, and we ship it next day air, for the most part, back to the customer. And so the reason for this is that because we work through distribution, we know that ultimately there's a customer that's blaming a distributor, and we don't want to let that distributor down. So it's been our thought process that we need to recover and recover really well. The worst thing that can ever possible happen is when you oops and oops. And
Does that happen?
It's happened once or twice, and that's like, then the customer starts thinking, man, oh man, I guess they just can't ever get it right.
Right.
And I think in business you get a customer or a product that you just feel like sometimes you just pick on them, and when that happens, like maybe you'll get 3 or 4 oopses like in a row, and they're all for that same customer. And it's generally a communication issue somewhere, or somebody just isn't somebody's working too fast. But yeah, we clear that escalates to the top to my level, and then I don't have to. I get to make a phone call and explain that, hey, we're not picking on you, and I'm sorry these things are happening, but we're working our best to diligently work through it. And so in a fairly automated production system, sometimes the worst thing you can do is say, I want to watch it every step of the way, because that tends to lead to more errors. But we do our best to avoid those things. But I think historically we've done a great job of recovery. So if we do have an error,
I bet that goes a long way when, I mean, not that you ever want it to get to that point, and hopefully it's extremely rare, but I think it goes a long way when it does get to you and you end up having to pick up the phone or get to pick up the phone and call them. I would assume that that's pretty meaningful for the owner of the business, CEO, to pick up the phone. I'm sure they just want their sign.
Yeah.
But I think that is important to remember that it's like our reputation's on the line,
right,
when it gets to that point, and we can't be so distant that we are unable to connect with the customer and in humility, say, listen, we're screwed up on this one. I'm so sorry, and we're gonna get it fixed. Yeah.
We also advise the customer of what our internal findings were as to how the error occurred and what we're doing about it.
Right.
So if it turned out it was an equipment error or something like that, then we kind of document all that. And so we have a really very thorough OOPS process system that documents all those things, really tracks it, looks for bottlenecks, looks for places where there's repeatable errors, and then we go attack them with process change.
So I think that most of the time when something happens or some oops, the customer expects you to recover and to get them the product they want or to fix the service or whatever you're providing. They expect that because they've paid for it. Yeah. But have there been situations where you've kind of gone above and beyond with the customer and like really wowed them with your fast turnaround, or maybe you gave them a discount or something like that, where it was just like, yeah, that was incredible?
I think there's probably been all kinds of those things, right? So over the 42 years that we've been in business, probably all those things have happened. We've to the point where I can recall from time to time driving things to Tampa Airport, putting it on a plane because next day air wasn't good enough.
Wow.
Yeah. So because I remember a situation where we had a bunch of contractors that the company had hired to come in to install all these labels, and they were there, and the product had gotten there wrong, and they were paying all these guys a lot of money, and I literally took it over and put it on a Delta flight and had it there in hours.
Holy cow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Well, that's a great example. I think that, sometimes that can really change somebody's perception. If you screw something up, and I always, running the agency, SpinStack, I always use the analogy of a restaurant because it's very similar. We have a front of the house, we have a back of the house, and sometimes something comes out of the kitchen that may not be 100% what the customer wanted, and they have to send it back. And sometimes when you get something back and it's done, like the chef carries it out himself and he's like, hey, this is something special I made just for you. That can go a really long way, and it can really change the perception. Hey, it's like, oh man, I was going to give this a 3-star rating and burn them on Yelp or something, but now I love this place,
right,
because of what they did.
Sure.
So that's what I was thinking about when I was thinking about oops, is like it can really be an opportunity if we have the right mindset to turn it into a win, right?
Well, yeah, exactly. And remember that we sell through distribution, so it's even more important for us because somewhere there's a distributor and a distributor owner and a distributor sales rep who are counting on us to make them look like heroes. And so we need to do that. We need to make sure that we do that every day, even on the successful products, right? Those, because with all the custom solutions that we provide, we are quite often the guys that came in and just sort of formulated a solution to a problem that their customer had.
So I really love, some of the things that we talked about. I mean, sometimes you just have to do what you have to do to get things done, and I think that's more of a mentality than anything. It's like you can't create a process for that. It just has to be like in your blood. Mm-hmm. And so I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a segue here into a conversation about how can we cultivate this type of culture, and what have you done? Let us start right there. Like what have you done to create this culture that you have in your blood, that Papa had in his blood, and mm-hmm. How do you pass that on to the staff that you have working with you?
So, first thing is it's hiring. So you have to hire right. But I think maybe even before you hire, you probably want to set down some good values and beliefs to know that you're hiring against those things. In our case, we have a really simple value statement. We build it around an acronym of I care. So it's just integrity, creativity, engagement, accountability, and respect, right? Mm-hmm. So do we see those 5 things in people when we're interviewing them? And if we see those, then we can train to the skills that we need to train them to. So that's kind of the first thing. Second thing we do is we utilize a question in virtually every single leadership team meeting, and that question is always, what does it do for the customer? So if you can't answer that about something that you're doing, a process that you're doing, or something, and it doesn't have a positive value for the customer, then you probably shouldn't be doing it. Mm-hmm. So really that's kind of the key thing. And then it's that building into everybody's culture and everybody's job that they realize that the customer is the key. The customer is the one who, they don't have to buy from us, they can buy from anybody, so they voluntarily spend money with us, so we have to realize that they're the reason for our existence.
That is so important. I think it's so easy to get wrapped up in your own business and cranking out widgets or making sales, that you forget that it's really all about the customer. If there's no customer, there is no business.
Right.
And I love what you said about asking, how does this affect the customer? Because a lot of times we make policies and we create processes that are really selfish. Mm-hmm. They help us, and maybe they help us with the bottom line, or maybe they make things easier for us. But I love the idea of being customer centric in your strategic, in your war room,
right.
with your strategy team. That really is important, and it's a great thing to remember as you guys go into strategic planning, in the fall. So I was going to ask, as it relates to hiring, because a lot of folks, I think, would agree with you. Like, it's all about having a clear set of values and making sure that you're hiring people that have already, reflect those same values. But in terms of customer service, what are some of the things that we do to train the staff? Because I might bring somebody in as an account manager who is the perfect culture fit, mm-hmm. but it's not always so intuitive.
Oh, right. So we're very fortunate to have developed an incredibly good onboarding process for customer service team. So we actually have one person dedicated to training or onboarding new people. That person has a documented process that they follow, and they run through all the different steps and processes, how to use our software, how to use our phone systems, who to contact, who's all your people. Our team spend time in the factory, they spend time in the warehouse, they'll spend time literally all around our whole company. So we do a lot of cross training in the very beginning, the onboarding process, so they understand really what's happening. They'll spend at least a whole day out in the plant making stuff, so they get how their impacts, how the decisions that they make impact the factory. And then we do external training as well. So we will bring in outside consultants to help train our existing employees to keep them getting some continuous education. One thing I know for sure is that, especially young people, they want to continually be working on their craft, building their skill sets, and learning. And so we just kind of satisfy that need by bringing in an outside training. And so we'll have a once every other week meeting, and we even let them do some of the training themselves as well. So it could be product training or just customer service training or something like that.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, I think it's really important. You can't underestimate the importance of having a documented onboarding process.
All right.
I think a lot of small, medium-sized businesses have yet to create that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's usually like, okay, here's the new person. Why don't you go sit with Sally? She's been here for 20 years, and she'll show you everything. And I think that we're really missing out there, because I love how what you guys do is you take them around. They get to see a global perspective of the business, and they understand at that point like how an order gets handled from the very beginning, and who do they need to talk to if something happens. And I think that's very important, is to just give them the context to be able to handle issues when they arise, right?
Mm-hmm. It is, yeah.
So, as we're kind of wrapping up here, what resources would you recommend? So if I am a industrial entrepreneur, I have a small team, but I know I want to get better. I know that this is an area where I want to stand out from the competition. Where would you say that I should start in terms of resources?
I think from my standpoint at least, I've benefited probably the most from being parts of different peer groups. So I belong to a number of different peer groups where I get to hang out with very like-minded individuals who are running similar-sized companies but non-competitive. So there's probably one in everybody's neighborhood or everybody's area that they live in. So I find that those things are incredibly valuable. I learn a lot from them. Not only about financial things, but also from customer service and sales and all these other things. So, it's something like that's really good. In terms of customer service training, we've been incredibly happy with Dale Carnegie. Dale Carnegie's been kind of the founding company of training for Accuform. It all started when I took my first Dale Carnegie How to Win Friends and Influence People class back in 1976.
Nice.
And I've been sold on that concept forever. Now we currently run a kind of a customized version of Dale Carnegie for our team, but there's nothing better than that to really bring out teamwork and working together in the whole organization. And when we run that training, it's not just our customer experience members, it's actually all of our supervisors, all of our team leads within the whole factory production system.
Yeah, I love that, and I've been fortunate enough to benefit from some of that training myself. So I know how impactful it is, and I love how you guys also, in addition to just doing the basic training, you're always recognizing people who are kind of up and coming in the business, and maybe heading into supervisor roles, and
Mm-hmm.
so many times you hire or you fill roles from within the company.
Oh yeah.
And I know that the training has a lot to do with that. So.
Yep. Yeah, lots and lots of training, cross training, and also the recognition of a next level kind of leadership team. So.
We also, we were talking before we even began, but there is this idea of, especially if you're a distributor, to lean on your supplier partners, your manufacturers, to learn about how to do things well. So if you have a manufacturer that you work with who is unbelievable at customer service, then that might not be a bad idea to send a few of your customer service reps out there to shadow them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Have you guys done that before?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. So we've sent our people there, but we've also had distributors send their people into our facility and hang out for a week or half a week, and really get some a chance to get immersed in the Accuform culture and how we do it, and what some of the tools are that we use to get those things done, so they can take those back and use them in their own organizations. And we're always delighted when somebody wants to come and learn from us. And when you're a company whose mission statement is to be our customer's favorite supplier, you've got to do a lot of things right. And that's just one of the ways in which we do it.
Awesome. All right, guys. Well, we are going to take another quick break. And when we come back from that break, we're going to wrap up our conversation here with Dad. And we will look forward to seeing you then.
We all know a bad advertising move when we see it. Or do we? Advertisers told us the world is digital. Print is dead. The truth is, it's not. The best data on the subject has revealed 3 critical values of printed catalogs. First up, touch. It sounds self-evident, but printed catalogs are appealing because they can be touched. IKEA recently produced a funny but poignant ad suggesting that printed catalogs accomplish everything we want tablets and web pages to do, but better. All of our years of experience being able to touch, fold, skim, and browse a catalog just can't be replicated. It seems some things can't be replaced by technology. Number 2, availability. In a survey conducted by retail consultancy firm Kurt Salmon, they found that 64% of people who first saw an item in a catalog ended up completing their purchase in-store, and 32% made a purchase on a website. Additionally, they found that 58% of online buyers got ideas from paging through a catalog, and nearly 30% had a catalog in their hands when they bought online. The availability of having a catalog you can skim through fosters customer loyalty. That brings us to the 3rd critical value of printed catalogs: consistency. Upon reviewing their sales funnel, Huber Company, a food handling equipment distributor, reported that multi-channel marketing through catalogs and e-commerce boosted sales and led to an increase in customer loyalty. This isn't just a case of selling to every market. Catalogs and e-commerce are 2 parts of one strategy. Catalog consumers are consistently more enthusiastic of your brand and will spend more. Considering 67% of online searches are driven by offline messages and almost 90% of online shoppers buy products they first see in a catalog, the data is clear. Print is not dead.
When ordinary signage won't do, armor up with a protection that's powerful enough to survive any environment. Duck Armor by Accuform. Designed to protect against scratches, scrapes, and impacts. Built to endure damaging chemical washing, graffiti resistant, and able to withstand UV yellowing or fading, plus cold weather cracking. Duck Armor is the original liquid laminate coating, pioneered by Accuform. Don't fall for a decoy.
Huh?
Get Duck Armor. We don't send strongmen into battle without armor. Get the sign coating you know will last against harsh abrasions, tough chemicals, taggers, and extreme environments. Duck Armor is tough enough for scratches, scrapes, impacts, weather, washing, sun, graffiti, and... What are you doing?
I was just gonna...
What? No. Why would you do that? Like all liquid laminate signs, Duck Armor's ultra-hard surface cleans easily, like water off a duck's back, and it withstands tough conditions, keeping your sign and message clear. But only Duck Armor can protect more than your signs, with over 90,000 products armed and ready. Not like that. Don't pay for protective coating on cheap sign material. Duck Armor gives you superior coating on premium signs at no extra cost. All the protection without the bill. Your facility deserves the best protection on the best signs. Durable and resilient. Light as a feather. Duck Armor has you covered.
All right, hey guys, welcome back. So we're going to wrap up our conversation here with Wayne Johnson. This has been really exciting. I've really enjoyed this conversation because, and I've told you all before, but it's so true. I am here learning alongside of you, and And so I figured, I want to shadow my dad. I want to learn from him. I want to, follow in his footsteps and take whatever wisdom he's been able to learn over the years and apply it to my own business. And I was hoping that I could kill two birds with one stone and bring you along with me on that journey and produce some good content. I think we've done that here today. And so just to kind of recap what we've talked about this idea of, owning our mistakes and recovering well from them, sort of the art of recovery, and how we can turn an oops into an opportunity. And so I love that we talked about this idea of, doing whatever it takes to make sure that the customer is happy. And I think one of the big takeaways for me was asking yourself as a leader, for every decision that you need to make strategically, how does this affect the customer? So that was one of my big takeaways from today. And also hiring people based on your core values, hiring people who are going to be good culture fits, and then training them and really investing in them. And I know that you've just done a ton of investment into training people, and those Dale Carnegie classes are not cheap, but they are the best. And so I think that really speaks volumes to your commitment in creating that amazing customer experience at Accuform. And I think you've done a fantastic job of that, and always been so proud of that part of the business.
Thank you.
So you're welcome, and thank you for coming on the show today. If folks out there are listening to us and they're like, wow, that's a really good point Wayne made, or I'd like to learn more about maybe sending some of my folks down there to meet the Accuform customer experience team, what's the best way for them to reach out to you?
They can probably send me an email. Is the best way. Just send it to wayne.johnson@accuform.com and I'll get it.
Awesome.
I'll respond back.
Because you're not like a Twitter guy. You're not like savvy up on those.
No.
Yeah.
I sort of.
Just with the grandkids and social media. So send Wayne an email. He'd be happy to respond to you.
Or you can actually pick up the phone and call me.
And he does have a phone. So I'm sure the Accuform phone number, if you called in there, I'm sure you'd get him most days. Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming on the show again. It's been a blast. Looking forward to all these other episodes we're going to do together in the future.
Great. Thanks very much.